A lot going on. It's been a while. Waiting for the notifications to go out, and I figure I'd have a little snack while I'm waiting. It's light Greek yogurt. It's only 80 calories. Throw a little protein-enhanced granola in there. It's good stuff. Highly recommend. Wish I had a schedule to do this on a regular basis, but we'll see what happens. It's been up and down. It's the holidays, getting close, you know. I figure I can get away with saying the quiet piggy because I was a formerly fat guy. So, I own that. It's mine, I'm taking it back. So, I can say quiet piggy. Quiet piggy! So yeah, how are my predictions looking so far, huh? It's like this old guy knows what the hell he's talking about. I know I don't get quite the traction I used to because I don't talk shit about other truckers, but, well, not as much. Can't say not at all, but not quite as bad as I used to, but to me this is infinitely more viable. Well, not viable. Relative. And entertaining as far as that goes. Trump is the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, hell, I have no idea, dude. That's a new one to me, Gary. What's going on with Huckabee? Last I heard, he was the ambassador to Israel. Did something happen over there with him? There's a lot going on right now. If you'll notice, the Democrats put out an ad riddled with sedition shortly after the Epstein files were dropped, almost as if they're trying to deflect from what is being revealed in those documents. Everyone thought it was going to be about Trump, when in reality, Trump was protecting the other politicians. It's not necessarily him in the documents. It was all the other people in the documents. And it's going to make Congress implode. And that's what he was trying to prevent. Non-trousers? I'm wearing trousers. Pantalones. Well, I'm Biden's prostate cancer fan. If that answers your question. I'm a big fan of his prostate cancer. Hey, Kobe. Who is Jonathan Pollard? I have no idea. What's going on with Huckabee there, Gary? This is the first I'm hearing about it. First I'm hearing about it. I have no idea what's going on with Huckabee. Oh, wait. You make shorts? Oh, right on, Kobe. Yeah, I remember seeing you the last time. I remember you. I wish I could have a regular schedule, man. The channel will probably do so much better, but it's just work has been big. And dude, I was sick. I was sick all last week. I don't know what the hell I had, but it sucked. I didn't have any energy. I had the head cold. I had it was, you know, I was coughing up lung meat. It was awful. Okay, but what happened, Gary? Just give me a quick synopsis. What happened with Huckabee? I know Huckabee is the evangelical, and there's a whole sept of evangelicals out there that are into this crazy notion of dispensationalism. And in the end, when you look at it, it's Jewish propaganda. I mean, it is what it is. It's phony, bloaty, contortionist bullshit that people get through their head to put Israel on a pedestal. So I don't know if it has anything to do with that. Oh, okay. What time is it here? It is 4:49 here, so you're 7 hours ahead. So that puts you... Are you in Sweden? No, you'd be further... No, that's 7 hours from Central Time. So that puts you further east. Well, that would make it what? Finland? What's up, Bobby? Hey, good morning to you too. It's morning somewhere, right? Or midnight, if you're in Kobe's land of the midnight sun. Oh. Well, yeah, you should hang for it, to be honest. You should hang for it. Don't need spies, especially when you get caught selling nukes. Well, that's how we know. That's how we know the Israel has nukes, and but they never admitted to it. But we know they got it because they got it from us. Yeah. That's why the whole fight between the Jews and the Palestinians was moot. It didn't make any difference because the Jews have the nukes. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere, and they have enough nukes to decimate every population center in the Middle East, up to and including Mecca. So, no, they're not, whether you like it or not, they're not going anywhere, and no one's going to be able to take them out because they have the nuke. That's what nukes do for you. Otherwise, we would have gotten rid of the Un family, right? Or the Kim family in North Korea a long time ago, but they got the nukes, and we can't get rid of them. Oh, South Africa, okay. Well, I hope you're doing well over there, Kobe. I know a guy from South. Well, he used to go to the Discord, but we haven't seen him in a long time. So I hope he's doing all right. He's an Afrikaner, and he had filed for asylum here in the U.S. I don't know where he's at on the application process, but he had got to the embassy level, so he may be coming over here sooner rather than later. Infinity. Huckabee at the American Embassy for a few weeks ago to thank Huckabee for his support. Oh. Well, it sucks. Rich people have connections, and a lot of them can get off. I mean, that goes for both sides of the aisle, and it's unfortunate, but it happens. When you're rich, you have influence. What are you going to do? I mean, it's just the power dynamic. But you're right. Traders should be swinging and not going free. But you can see the rhetoric heating up. Now, guys, I had made a little video about the fall of Rome. I know a lot of people didn't watch it, but that's fine. But we're seeing it happening here in the United States. You know, one of the reasons that Rome fell was from a republic to an imperial empire was due to the Roman Senate becoming feckless and corrupt and not being able to get anything done. And the infighting grew too much. The expansion of the borders became too quick, too fast. The inflation was out of control, and then the generals started creating their private armies. If we start seeing generals here in the U.S. with private armies that loyal to them and not the state, then we're right there. All right, Kobe, it's good to see you. Good night. Oh, another delusional person defending someone's hell-bent on destroying his life. You're going to have to elaborate on that one. I have no idea what you're talking about. Mr. Vazago, if that is your real name. No, it's we're almost there, guys. We're rapidly descending into Civil War 2.0. I felt that's been inevitable for a while. I'm not the other one beating that drum on the internet for any length of time. I think Tim Pool is probably the most famous of the people doing that, but he's right. I'm right. A lot of those people are right because it's happening. You cannot have Marxists sharing and vying for the same territory as nationalists. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Globalists and nationalists cannot occupy the same territory. We don't even speak the same language. It's just not going to happen. All he's done is line his pockets and destroy your rights. My rights are perfectly intact. I have no idea what you're talking about. What rights are you speaking of? What rights are you being denied at this very moment if you are a U.S. citizen? Yeah, she's a little out there right now, but a lot of crazy shit's going on. So Egyptian aircraft flying in and out of Provo. I don't know, man. That's some crazy shit. You know, everyone's trying to make it to a Jewish conspiracy. I don't know, man. Maybe it was just a transsexual furry and his roommate jazzed each other up, and maybe that's actually who shot Charlie Kirk. You don't need it. It doesn't have to be. That's already crazy enough. And it turns out that Trump's would-be assassin, Brooks or Cooks, turns out he was a trans furry too. Those are the fuckers you need to watch out for, because furries need to get the wood chipper. They just do. They're degenerates, and they just need the wood chipper. That'd solve a lot of problems. Although this time the value of human life is less due to AI withering resources, etc. Yeah, AI is gonna be a real problem, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it's a real damn problem. And if you're in trucking, I've said this for years, you need to specialize. You need to get your hazmat, because right now the AI trucks are not allowed to haul hazmat. If your bread and butter is going from distribution center to distribution center, that's going away. If your bread and butter is running shuttle at night for an LTL company, that's going away. You need to get in a hazmat. And after that, I have no idea. Once they pass the law that things can haul hazmat, then we're all cooked. Anyway, a little trucking thing there. But no, but I always knew the AI was going to affect the white collar worker much faster and harder than would be the blue collar people, because blue collar is actual tangible work with your hands and your mind, right? You actually have to hold the hammer or the wrench or the hose or what have you, right? That's blue collar work. White collar work is ephemeral, it's ethereal, it's digital. You're doing it primarily on a laptop or your PC, writing reports, looking things up on the internet, researching on that shit. AI can do that like yesterday. That's going away. So it's the blue collar jobs that they actually have to build a specialized robot to perform the same function. That's going to be harder to replace. Is Dave a millionaire for mining crypto? Only in Zimbabwe dollars. Was the country ever more divided than it is now during, not in my lifetime, and I've been around for 50 years, so, even the boomers dealing with Vietnam, it wasn't this divided. But we're more informed now, too, because of the internet and social media. So if this was around during Vietnam, maybe. In fact, so it isn't happening. Media being refused access, police entering homes without warrants, National Guard being brought in to stop protest. No, it's not. That's your opinion, but that's not what's happening. National Guard's going in to protect federal buildings in sanctuary cities, for one, which is absolutely lawful. Police doesn't need a warrant to go after people that are here illegally. That's not the way it works. They don't need warrants for that. You're here illegally. Once they find out you're here illegally, they don't need a warrant. They just detain you. And if you already had a court appearance order or order to appear, they can figure that out later. Or if you're a citizen, they just let you go. But they don't need a warrant to detain you if you're here illegally. That's just not the way. You have a misunderstanding on how our law works. Let's see. Police entering homes without warrants. Again, if you're going after, it's just like a game warden. You realize a game warden does not need a warrant to go in your house if he suspects you have poached animals like a deer or something like that in your freezer. They can just walk right in your house and go open the freezer and look. They don't need your permission. Did you realize that? That's a game warden. Same thing with ICE. They suspect you're illegal, or they were chasing you. You ran into a house. Well, they can just go in and get you. You can't just go running in there like, I'm home. Like this isn't hide and seek, or tag. It's the home base. That's not the way it works. Yeah, more informed and more misinformed. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you have the sum of human knowledge at your fingertips, and you still have people arguing that the Earth is flat. I mean, shit that was figured out by guys watching the stars, and they were on wooden ships powered by the wind. Figured that out. But people nowadays are still arguing about dumb shit like that. So, not everyone could be saved. That's just the way it is. No, I'm not. You're the one that brought it up. I'm just giving you a circumstance on how that would be lawful. You're the one saying that they're going into a house to arrest people without a warrant. Seems like you're missing some context there in your own statement. If I had to leave America, what country would I choose? Oh, God. I'd like to stay in the Anglosphere, but they're all getting pretty dictatorial right now. There's no freedom of speech in Europe or in Britain. Australia isn't that far off. I would say maybe Canada, but they're having problems too. We're really in the vice grips of authoritarianism in the Anglosphere. Outside the Anglosphere, I mean, they're all pretty bad too, to be honest. Or highly racist. I mean, you would like to think like, hey, I'd like to go to Japan, but the Japanese don't want us there. Because you're not Japanese. As racist as you think America is, we got nothing on Asians. I'm just saying. I really don't know. I mean, you would like to think Scandinavia or Europe in general, but they're being overtaken by Islam, and that's a powder keg ready to go off too. Worse than here in the United States, for that matter. Even with all the shit going on in Dearborn here recently, I mean, Islam is incompatible with Western civilization. It just is. The Spaniards had to kick them out after 800 years of occupation with the Reconquista. And I suspect we're going to get something similar again. It would not surprise me if we have another crusade within the next 20 years, like a legit call for a crusade to purge Europe again. We'll see what happens. And the immigration means doing it the right way, then you're arrested, you deport without trial. How is that okay? Well, that's due process. They had their due process. They're here illegally. They got to go. Look, I mean, there's only you have to do it the right way. You don't get the Cupid doll. You don't get the participation trophy for making it here illegally. They find that you're here illegally, you get detained. They question you. You have your little consul meeting. That's your due process, and you're sent back home. Maybe if Homan gets a hold of you, you may wind up in Uganda, and you may be from Nicaragua. There's nothing saying we got to send you back home if ICE gets you. Now, if you voluntarily go home, you take the $1,000, you get a guaranteed plane ride to where you want to go, and then you have the off chance of maybe coming back to the United States later on. You know, you could do that, and the vast majority of the people that have left the country have used that option, right? Over 1.6, I think it's closer to 2 million people now have used that option. And we know those numbers are accurate because we're cutting checks. So, but if Homan and ICE get a hold of you, you can wind up in Papua New Guinea. Because we don't give a fuck. We just don't want you here. And that's our only requirement. We don't have to send you back where you came from. Sorry about your luck. I mean, Hungary, I mean, Poland, right? But Poland's got issues being next to Ukraine and Belarus. But, yeah, I mean, any of the non-immigrant friendly nations, but I don't speak Polish or Hungarian, so it'd be kind of hard for me. And I don't know if they want me there. Because, again, Europeans aren't like us, guys. We are color, right? We're all about what color. You're white, you're brown, Hispanic, black, whatever. That's not how Europeans see themselves, because they're all white primarily. It's about where you come from over there. So they wouldn't see me as another white, hello, fellow white man. No, they would see me as a loudmouth American. And they wouldn't necessarily want me there. Just being real. What's some advice you give to younger people today, maybe first starting out on their own? Oh, God. The world is changing so fast. It's hard to say. My advice is probably outdated. I did not go to college. I would recommend going to college. I pissed away a lot of my 20s before I decided what I wanted to figure out. So if you don't go into college immediately after high school, I highly recommend going to a trade school and then going from there. Being in Texas, there's a lot of jobs at like industrial plants, refineries, and chemical plants and so on. You can make a really good living there, but you have to go to tech school and learn instrumentation. And then you can get a real job, real benefits, and a real retirement. I'm never going to be able to retire, just being straight up. So that's what I would do as a young person. I would go, if I was not going into college right away, it would be a trade school. It probably something for like instrumentation. And then there's other certifications you can pursue too. So if you want to work in like wastewater treatment, because every municipality's got to have clean water, right? But you got to have several levels of certification to do that. It doesn't pay the greatest, but everyone's always going to need clean water, so that's a pretty safe bet, right? So and just keep your nose to the ground for any opportunities, right? I didn't jump on Bitcoin when I should have. I just thought it was bullshit, right? But I had that bias. So if you see the next Bitcoin or the next Google or whatever have you, keep your eyes open, keep your mind open to maybe buy a couple of shares and just hang on to it, because you never know. Yeah, STEM. Yeah, we already have enough 18th century French poet researchers and historians, or underwater basket weaving, or I don't know, learning how to do surprise it, whatever. It just, yeah, if you're going to go to school, do it in something tangible and in the sciences, not liberal arts. Because the liberal arts degrees are going away with AI. Because it's the easiest. Like humanities, HR is going away. It's all going to be, you're going to have one or two broads in the office, and they're going to be controlling the entire HR department until they're taken out. Because AI is going to do everything. They're going to do all the hiring, firing, and everything like that. So I wouldn't even bother with anything like that. So yeah, if you're smart enough for STEM, but you got to be smart, man. You know, Gary, you got to be smart. Your cheese has got to be on your cracker for STEM. But obviously, if you have talent, but see, that's even hard too, because a lot of Americans used to be in IT, but they got rifted out and they were forced to train their foreign counterparts before they were pushed out of the industry. I don't know if Trump is going to reverse course on that fast enough to allow the Americans to get back into IT, but even a lot of those IT positions are going to be replaced by AI, and that's the problem. The junior positions, the entry-level positions, and a lot of these companies are going away and are going to be done by the robots, which means you're going to have a high degree of expertise and credentials just to get to the new entry-level position. So unless you're like super duper smart, trade school's the way to go, because that's going to be the hardest. It sucks, right, to be a plumber or some of these other trades, but everyone's going to need clean water pipes or, you know, shit pipes, and a robot's just not going to be able to do that. You're going to need some guy that knows, like, you know, as an electrician to wire your house or to take care of your business. Robots can't do HVAC yet. Like I said, in Texas, they call it the Golden Triangle. You got all the chemical and oil refineries. That's not all going to be done by robots yet, right? You still need operators there physically in person monitoring the stuff, and when shit goes sideways, somebody has to go out there and, you know, keep the plant from melting down. So, I mean, that's how I would look. Trans alien. Oh God. What alien are we talking about? Talking about the Pleiades? Reptilian? The Greys? What kind of alien are we transitioning into? Guys, there's just so much crazy shit coming at us all at once. 3i Atlas. It's hard to keep up with what's reality and what's bullshit. I mean, you have like reputable astronomers out there like Avi Loeb saying, no, it's an alien space probe. It's made out of too much nickel, and it has all the heat signatures and all that of technology, and not just a regular run-of-the-mill comet. And with all the other crazy shit going on right now, it's being glossed over. It's like the size of Manhattan. It's changing trajectory and speeds. It's made out of refined metals, but it's being glossed over with all the other crazy shit going on the planet right now. It's just amazing. What's up, Willie? It's amazing. Just all kinds of crazy shit going on. Like I said, the craziest is the Democrats are out of their damn mind right now. And I'm telling you, they released that ad, that seditious ad, because of the Epstein files. They paid lip service about wanting the files released to make Trump look bad, but they didn't really want the files to be released because they knew their compatriots were on that list. You got to understand that. It's smoke and mirrors. It's bread and circuses. They did not want that file to be released. Trump just finally is like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to do it. And we're just going to deal with where the cards lie. All right? If the country's going to burn, so be it. You know, because sometimes you got to lance the boil to allow the healing to start. And since it wasn't going away and the Democrats are being super obnoxious about it, they're like, fuck it, we're just going to release everything. We'll implicate everybody. We're going to burn Congress to the ground. And then we'll see what happens to the country. That's kind of where we're at. But when you have Democrats after actively advocating, I mean, Senate level, I mean, it doesn't get any higher than, up until you get to the presidency, you're talking about senators advocating for sedition. That hasn't happened since the Civil War, guys. You don't understand how close we are. You have governors in Pritzker and Mayor Johnson out of Chicago, and you got Newsom out in California advocating for sedition and secession. Gavin Newsom is many times referred to California as a nation state. And they've been on the bubble for a long time about whether they were going to actually try to secede from the Union faster than Texas was, because it comes up every few years here in Texas about leaving the Union. I mean, we are on the precipice of something ginormous, and it ain't good, I can tell you. However it happens, one thing can be assured is that our republic is over. And we are going to crown a new Caesar. It's just going to be, is it going to be the left-wing Pompey or the right-wing Julius? Don't know. But that's where we're headed. I am. Good evening from Frankfurt. Oh. You got a $2,000 check? Shit, I gotta check my bank account. Is that gonna be for everyone in the household? So it'd be me, my wife. Does my kiddo get one? Am I about to get $6 grand? Of my tariff dividend? I think it's funny that why that's coming up too. I mean, we have to have the tariffs to pay down the debt, because Biden inflated and screwed the pooch so much of the economy. We have to have the tariffs. But if they're going to try to take away the tariffs power away from him, then he's like, instead of giving the money back, I'm just going to divest it to the people, let them spend it and put it back into the economy. And he's like, you can go collect it from the people we sent the checks to. Good luck. Right now I'm in Indiana. Yeah, they sent me out here to pick up a trailer. They got a special project. This is the time of year that they start hooking up natural gas to the existing infrastructure to help with the increased demand. So they have these projects popping up all over the place for the winter. So I got on that job, at least transporting some equipment. So hopefully it's steady, right? So you're in Frankfurt, so you know all about LNG and CNG and all that, and how important it is. I mean, it's not much to see. It's just the back of my truck. Yeah, got that. Got my TV. Got some bric-a-brac down there. My Xbox. There's my coffee pot. It's my refrigerator. My big toe. Here's my nice mattress I paid a pretty good penny for. So I'm pretty comfortable in my truck. And then I can hook up my Xbox to my phone because I get hotspot. Oh yeah. I'm comfortable in here. I mean, I'm home a lot more than I used to be, but I'm comfortable on the road, right? Above the fridge is my closet where I have my clothes hung up, and my little mini vacuum. And as I got shelving up here, got my other bric-a-brac. I got my oatmeal up here because I'm a big time oatmeal eater. Protein enhanced, gotta add the protein. In Europe, we have 2 different trucks than in the U.S. Oh, you're talking about the Scanias? Yeah, we phased out cab overs in the late 90s. They just weren't comfortable. And that was a little bit before my era. I didn't start driving truck until 2004. So, but you have different requirements over there too. I think your trucks are a little bit taller, and you got more horsepower because the EU is more mountainous than the United States. It's more compact, right? You have the Alps taking up a lot of territory over in Europe. We do have mountain ranges, but we're more spread out, so we don't need, you know, the huge horsepower trucks like in the Midwest or in Texas for that matter. So now if you're in the mountain states, yeah, you'll see beefier trucks, but they're also less populous too. Yeah, you got the guys that get the Scanias. Yeah, I mean they'll look all right. I give the I talk shit with a Swedish guy named Hool. You know, I'm just not a big fan of cab overs, but they don't look that comfortable. But I've never ridden one either. I just remember the horror stories. Willie could tell you about that. JB Hunt, they offered me 5 days out, 2 full days home, dedicated route. I mean, if it works for you, I'm not a big fan of drive-in. I mean, I make no bones about that. I'm in tanker. Tanker, you get treated like a human being, but I mean, drive-in can work for you. I mean, if it's something close to the house, right? As far as my trip goes, normally here lately, Mamu, I've been going out to West Texas and back because I live in the Dallas area. So I'll get loaded, take a load out to West Texas, stay overnight, deliver in the morning, and come back the next day. And that's what I primarily do. But that's slowed down a little bit just because of things. We have a holiday coming up here in the States. I know you guys don't have it in Germany. We have Thanksgiving next week. It's one of our major holidays here in the U.S. So it just slowed down, and it typically happens. In my industry anyway. So they found me this other work to do to go pick up the equipment. But normally I stay in Texas. I don't normally come out of Texas that often anymore. And that's why I get home a lot more. Well, that's a job, and I've been doing it for going on 21 years now. It's not a glamorous life, but it's paid for. You know, I got my family I'm taking care of, and they're in a house. And you know, Biden didn't make it any easier to live with the inflation, right? Because the inflation went up, but our wages didn't, and that's the problem. And that's what we're dealing with right now. But I appreciate the input. It can be, yeah. Yeah, well, where I load our loading facility is outside of the Dallas area. I mean, just south, but it's not in the metro. And then I'll go out to West Texas, right? So I don't go through Fort Worth unless the traffic is clear. If it's getting close to rush hour, I go a back way, and then so I don't really have to screw with it. That, and I get to run Texas hours of service as well. So I get on Texas hours of service. There's no 8-hour clock, right? There's no stopping for a break. When you stop, like when you go off duty or in your sleeper berth, your clock stops. Your 14 stops. It's almost like oil field time. You could drive 12 hours and work 15, but honestly, you could stretch it out to work all day if you really wanted to. Woo, got a hiccup. So I've been spoiled on that. Now when I came out, I'm having to do all that shit again. I'm like, I gotta stop for half an hour for some bullshit. Oh yeah. Yeah, because you're going right through the metro. Yeah, that would suck. Well, I mean, it's it's not always roses and sunshine there, Mamu. That's just, but that just comes from life experience. But it's important to have something more than just yourself in life. It's an awesome responsibility to have people dependent on you, and then you have to do the right thing. You can't just go half-cocked and just do whatever the hell you want. You have other people relying on you to make good decisions and not impoverish the family. So yeah. And when things go bad, you learn how to dig deep within yourself to make things happen. And it's not always easy, but it's got to get done. Otherwise, other people will suffer, and you can't do that. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, just that's been the calming force ever since people have been walking upright, right? To wax philosophically here, I mean, the women tame the men. Because if the women didn't settle the guys down to start families, even in nature, we see this with like orcas. There was a documentary with orcas. They were podless. It was a bunch of Ronin orca, which is a pack of unaffiliated male orcas, and they formed gangs in the oceans, and they went out terrorizing the local wildlife. And this gang of orcas was terrorizing this gray whale mother and her calf, and they chased that calf for over 1,000 miles before they finally drowned the damn thing. The mom, they couldn't do much to the mom because the mom was bigger than the orcas, right? Because orcas are essentially big dolphins. They're little whales, but big dolphins, right? So the gray whale was much bigger than them, but the calf wasn't. And they would just jump on the damn thing every time it tried to go up for air and force it back underwater. They wouldn't let it catch its breath, and after a while, it would get exhausted, and they just eventually. And when they finally drowned the damn thing, all they ate on that calf was its tongue, and they fucked off and left the mom by herself. They were literally hunting for sport, and that's just a snapshot in the animal kingdom. But they're no different than people, right? Unaffiliated, unattached men have a tendency to form gangs, and they go out there and terrorize society, right? You have to have them part of a pod or a family to settle their ass down, have them raising kids, and focus their attention on a family instead of going out and creating mischief in society. Well, thank you very much, Mamu. Do you know something about the political economic situation in Germany? Would be interesting for me as a citizen. I believe your Prime Minister is Olaf Scholz. I know the AfD is making inroads. I know the Christian Democrats, Merkel's old party, was in control. I know that the German parliament is doing shenanigans like Macron did in the French parliament, because Marine Le Pen's nationalist party was actually the majority party, but they lost the coalition to form a government and parliament. And I know they're trying to do something similar to the AfD over in Germany. I also know they're trying to label them as far right-wing extremists, when really, if you compare them to American politics, the AfD is really more liberal than our Democrats. It's just that they have been inundated with so many Muslim illegal immigrants coming in, especially from like Syria and Turkey, that it's watering down what it means to be German. And you're not going to have a national identity any longer. And that's being done by design, by people like Klaus Schwab. And it's unfortunate. But that's why there's such a right-wing sentiment brewing in Europe right now. And it's not just there, but it's over here as well. It's happening in Britain. It's happening in Europe in general. It's happening in the United States. It's happening pretty much everywhere. in the Anglosphere right now, because we're not stupid. We see what's happening, and it's just reached that tipping point where people are no longer becoming tolerant of the situation, because we were told, oh, we got to be tolerant. We got to be tolerant because diversity is our strength. And it's not. Diversity is divisive. That's why the derivatives of the same word. Unity is strength. You know. And it's only the Anglosphere they seem to be wanting to dilute the culture down. You're not seeing this happening in Japan. You're not seeing this happen in South Korea. You're not seeing this happening in China. All right? It's just white societies right now that are being diluted for reasons. And people finally have had enough of the bullshit. I like a lot of what Nick says. Where he loses me is that everything is Israel's fault. Everything is not a Jewish conspiracy. I hate to burst his bubble. It's just not. Are they involved with a lot of shit? Yeah. Do they have undue influence comparative to the size of the country? Yes. Do they dominate a lot of levers of power here in the United States, from finance to media? Yes. But it's no different than any other cliquish group that's in power. I mean, they displaced other people, right? It used to be dominated by the Protestants and the Catholics and the media, like Horace Greeley and so on. They weren't Jewish. So Ted Turner wasn't Jewish, or isn't Jewish, when he owned CNN and TBS and all that. So no, I mean, now if you have a problem with Zionism, and I think what really pisses people off is the hypocrisy with a lot of the Zionists out there, because they want Jewish supremacy, especially within Israel, and that's supposedly perfectly okay. But when you say you want something similar for our country, well, that's a no-go. That's a no-go. The Jews can have their state. They can have an ethno-state. But not America or Europe. Every other country that's not white can have an ethno-state, but apparently us having an ethno-state is a problem. Now, I don't necessarily want an ethno-state, but we do have to have a common culture, because our culture is too diluted and it's becoming a problem. And you see that happening, right? When you have to have cultural ties to bind people together. And we have watered that down to the point where citizenship doesn't mean anything anymore, or the Constitution is just an afterthought. The law, nobody's following the law right now. I mean, sanctuary cities, how long has that been going on? That's highly illegal. That's open rebellion from the federal government. There should never be a thing called a sanctuary city or state. So we're going through a lot of shit that's dissolving our republic. And again, this is just going to cause another Caesar to take control when our republic ultimately fails. And it is going to fail. There's no turning back at this point. I mean, it sucks, especially since we're living through the birth pangs of it, but I mean, nothing you can do about it. You need to take a look at Frankfurt main station area, also in the west of Frankfurt and many other Western German cities. When I step into the bus, I am the only blonde person. Yeah, I mean, it's not just over in Frankfurt, but yeah, that's why the AfD, to my understanding, is gaining so much traction over in Germany, because and ironically, from what I was looking at, it's a lot of the ex-East German states that lived through not only Nazism, but they went through straight from Nazism to communism. and they already had to put up all this bullshit with the commies and the Nazis. There's like the Poles too. You notice that when you see the Polish marching, you'll see them carrying signs where it has the circle with the dash through it, through swastika and the hammer and sickle. Because Poland was very much like East Germany. They went from Nazism straight to communism. They didn't have a break. And now they're doing their own thing. You're like, both of these ideologies suck. And it's because they're all rooted in socialism. And socialism is an evil ideology when you get down to brass tacks. But that's a different argument. But it's the oppressed states that now have had freedom. Because frankly, I mean, I'm a Gen X, right? So the Berlin Wall didn't come down until '89. Ukraine didn't gain independence, and they've only been independent since like the 90s. So they weren't too far behind the East Germans and the Polish getting their countries back. And they like their freedom. They like being able to, they like their liberty. They also like what it means to be from their country because they suffered together as a people under oppressive regimes. So that is a huge suffering and a huge cultural binder. The Poles, the Hungarians, the Romanians, the East Germans, they all suffered, and I mean suffered. And they finally won. And now they got a taste of what their family had been fighting for generations, and they're trying to take it away again through globalism. Oh, it doesn't mean anything to be German or American or Polish. Where you come from doesn't matter. We're all interchangeable economic units. Any third world asshole could be plugged into a first world nation and it's exactly the same. They're finding out it's not. You and I as blue collar people we could have told them, like, no, you don't live with these people in your ivory towers. They come into our neighborhoods. I can tell you, most definitely, they are not the same. And even Keir Starmer, and I think the Dutch came out with a report too, showing that third world immigration, because where you come from matters. They're showing that people specifically from third world countries coming in and settling in Europe are net drained by the billions. Only a few countries, westernized countries, people being imported from, are actually net gains on immigration, where they actually benefit society. Everywhere else, they're finding out they're a huge fucking sucking maw on the teat of the welfare, and they're just draining the wealth right out of the damn countries. And they don't care because they're not from there. They're just coming to extract wealth, send it back home, and if that society fails, they just go fuck off from where they came from with a bag of loot that they stole from you and I. That's all they're doing. Military age, these are not refugees. These are military age single young men showing up. They're not arriving with their families. They're fucking off, leaving their kids and their mothers and sisters and their wives at home, and they come to Western civilizations to siphon the wealth out of us, send it back home, and when they're done, then they go fuck off back home. All right. Well, hopefully she's not talking about more Egyptian planes landing in Provo. Yeah. Yeah, I can't compete with Candace. She gets like 150,000 people in her chats, and that's just on YouTube. Fuentes gets an entire city watching him on Rumble. It's crazy. But I appreciate the kind words, Mamu, and the super chat. It is appreciated. But yeah, I'm glad you found me, man. Like I said, I don't go live as much as I used to. I want to. I've just been super busy with work, and my schedule is all kinds of. So I just literally have not had the time. But I do enjoy talking with you guys. Yeah, you only could push a people so far, man, until you get pushed. I mean, it's literally an existential crisis of what it means to be from your homeland. And the globalists are trying to take that away. They're trying to water it down to the point where it doesn't matter where you come from, because they don't want to recognize boundaries. They don't want nations. They want people to go wherever the hell they want to go, and businesses to do businesses with whoever without any impediments, which sounds great on paper, but in reality, it's devastating. It's devastating. And all it's doing, it's wealth and resource extraction out of the Anglosphere right now is what's happening. And these are by multinational conglomerates that don't owe allegiance to any country. And that's a problem. That's a real damn problem. And that's why they're fighting Trump so hard, because he's like, no, you're an American company, and if you continue to parcel out the main parts of what that means to have that company here in the United States and try to you used to have Americans working those assembly lines, but now you're closing those plants. Now you're making the product overseas or across the border just to sell us back the goods that we were making ourselves. So you're selling us back our own stuff, and essentially it's like, yeah, that's going to stop. And they don't like that. That's why they've been attacking Trump nonstop. But he is literally willing to go to war to stop the wealth extraction. He is forcing these companies to pick a side, and it better be Team America as far as he goes, because he represents America, just like you would want your German representation to looking after your special interests, right? So, and Trump is literally going to war to stop it. That's why he's attacking Venezuelan cartel boats out there in the Caribbean. I mean, the amount of shit going on right now is crazy. Yeah, social media can be pretty wild, huh? Yeah, it's pretty wild. I've had some big live feeds, and I may have missed the boat, Mamu, on riding that algorithm wave, but life gets in the way. I mean, I'm a middle-aged guy out here, just I like to talk shit every once in a while, and just give my point of view on how I see things, and it's just it just turns out that I'm right more often than not. It drives people crazy because a lot of people don't like me because I can be a bit abrasive, right? So I got plenty of haters out there, and that's fine. But and the sad thing is, what I'm calling out is not necessarily what I want to happen. It's just the way I see things going down, all right? That's not saying that I want that to happen, though. It's just like, unless there's a fire event, this is where we're going to wind up. Now we have American politicians at the Senate level spouting sedition, and then the president's coming back. Well, it's like, well, a penalty for sedition is death. Just saying. Trump ain't fucking around, and right now neither are the Democrats, and it's the fighting is going to be inevitable. And unfortunately, Mamu, when we start shooting at each other in Civil War 2.0 over here, that's going to open the floodgates and the door to World War III, because that will give the Chinese the go-ahead to go after Taiwan. It's going to allow Russia to redouble their efforts in Ukraine, and the EU is not going to allow that, but we're not going to be there to support it because we're going to be too busy killing each other. So the world is about to pop off, and it's going to happen because the United States is going to be in another civil war. And right now, I don't really know how it's going to land. If it's going to be nationalist or if it's going to be Marxist. And That's kind of scary to me, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want it to happen, but it's happening. It's been happening for a while. It's just the drum beats of war are getting louder and faster. The political pendulum is swinging so hard and so fast every election cycle, eventually it's going to break the clock. Our republic is going away. We are going the way of Rome. That's why I made that video about Rome. We're going that direction. There's nothing that I can see that's going to stop the momentum from us devolving into a dictatorship. And the thing is, the republic got so corrupt and so feckless that there's a lot of people out here that desire a dictator to come in to fix everything. And that's going to be an ironic thing, because when the dictator finally does appear, they are going to fix things. Things will get done. They're not going to have the Constitution or due process or any of that stuff. Because they're the new dictator. They don't give a shit. They are the law. They'll go in like a king. They'll clean house. They'll go door to door. And things are going to change with the quickness. It's just the generations after that are going to be the problem. After that dictator goes away. And that's when the problems start. And that's what happened with Rome, right? Rome actually improved in a lot of ways when the Caesars took over, but you know, when you got down to the Caligulas and the Neros, and they became so corrupt and godlike, but when you had the Augustuses there, you know, that Rome was actually doing pretty good. I have not. I'll have to go look it up. Yeah, it's we are heading for real peril. I mean, if you want to see, if I know you're in Frankfurt, Mahmoud, but if you want to see how it's affecting the United States, Scandinavians came in and settled Minnesota. That's one of our states. Minneapolis, St. Paul, you know, St. Paul being the capital, but they're sister cities. They're right next to each other. Obama brought in so many Somalians that they all congregated in Minneapolis, and they changed the voting dynamic in that city. And that's how we have Ilhan Omar as a representative there in an area settled by Scandinavians. Most famously, we had Zoran Mamdani becoming mayor of New York City, our largest city here in the United States. Why? Because people born in New York City are now the minority in that town. It's mostly immigrants. And they changed the voting dynamic. So these are just verifiable lessons that we, the people, the common people, are saying we're importing too many people, legal or otherwise. There are too many people coming in and fucking with our system, because it's no longer a system for us. We're vacating space for others that aren't from here. And that's becoming a real problem, because now they're affecting our politics. And that never should be the case. If you're foreign born, you should never be able to hold office here in the United States. That's just my opinion. And it's a growing opinion. And it's coming to a head. It's too many people are noticing and getting pissed off and are tired of the bullshit. We're tired of the globalism. We're tired of what is gutting our economy, extracting all of our wealth, diluting what it means to be a citizen, trying to tell me that it doesn't matter where you're from. All that is coming to a head. Even the French are getting tired of that shit. And the French had never been able to get out of their own way. But even they are getting tired of it. That was at the beginning of the live feed. I was just waiting for the notifications to go out. But yeah, man, that's where we're at. We're heading for peril. We are already having open fighting in the streets. Ironically, the anarcho-communists and Antifa are actually now the new brown shirts. Or the black shirts, more appropriate for Mussolini's Italy. They serve the same function, right? They're street-level enforcers and terrorists. Our only saving grace is our federal government's a lot stronger than the Weimar Republic was. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we can't have politicians calling for sedition, guys. You just can't do it. Cannot allow it to happen. These people need to be arrested and put on trial, and possibly put to death. You can't have senators informing the military personnel that it's okay to disobey orders from their commander-in-chief. You just don't break the chain of command like that. Especially as a high-level politician. You just cannot be allowed at all. This has to be nipped in the bud, post-haste. Yeah. Now, I'm not even kidding. I'm not being hyperbolic one little bit. They need to be put on trial and possibly executed for high crimes and misdemeanors. They are actively calling for sedition to our troops in our intelligence community. There's too much shit going on right now. And frankly, the orders that that Trump has issued are lawful. They're completely full of shit. So not only are they being seditious, but they're pumping out misinformation. And I'm telling you, this is because of the Epstein files. It's no coincidence this came out shortly after the Epstein files were released. Because there are so many Democrats, and probably a few Republicans, but mostly Democrats, because Epstein was a Democrat. Ardently so. And there is so much damning information in those documents that they're going to do whatever they can to distract the public from the information that's being disseminated right now. It's not an accident. And you're not seeing the Republicans doing this. It's the Democrats. There's a reason for this. You need to understand this. Heads are about to roll. Bigly. Trump is not fucking around. And right now, he's the one holding the reins of power. And he still has the majority support of his own party. So he's not going anywhere. Any bullshit articles of impeachment coming up right now aren't going to go anywhere. So, yeah, the Democrats, it's about to get bad. I mean, and again, it's another catalyst. It's going to start fighting in the streets, and that's. I wish that weren't the case, but that's where we're going. That's where we're going. And again, once we start doing that here in the United States, fighting each other, the bad actors around the world will realize that we can't do anything to stop them from doing what they needed to do with, like, Ukraine and Taiwan. And that's going to trigger the entire planet being set on fire. right? Because the EU will not be able to depend on the United States for the military, so they are going to remilitarize with a quickness, and they're going to turn their risk cards in on Russia. And then we're dealing with North Korea and China, you know, going after South Korea and Taiwan, and we're going to be too busy killing each other over here to stop them. Japan's going to remilitarize quickly because we're not going to be there to protect them from China. And they're not just going to roll over the Chinese because they hate each other. I don't know if you guys realize that, but Japan and China hate each other. They all hate each other. Koreans, Japanese, Chinese, they all hate each other. So that's going to be, it's going to be bad. It's going to be real bad. And unfortunately now, a lot of these countries have nukes, or will have them really, really damn fast. And yeah, as soon as one side starts losing, they're going to start launching birds. Yeah. Foreign money in our politics for me to believe any government agenda these days. China, Israel, Russia, billions and billions spent on bribes. And yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of like what Gary was talking about with Fuentes. I mean, that's one of the knocks that Israel, that people are going after Israel. And mind you, Israel attacked the United States ship. Normally that triggers a war. You don't fuck with our boats. But they did. They went after the USS Liberty, and then they tried to blame the Egyptians. And for some reason, we let them get off scot-free on that. Well, seemingly scot-free. You know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. You know, if you get down to brass tacks about why the Jews were assailed during World War II with Hitler, it goes back to the Weimar Republic. The Weimar Republic became so corrupt and hedonistic that it was just complete moral, cultural, and ethical decay. And the Jews are infamous for not assimilating. So even though they have been in Germany for a long time, they were Jewish first rather than German. And that created a lot of resentment because even then they were in charge of finance and media, like the newspapers and whatnot. And a lot of the common German citizens were being brutalized by the Weimar economy because of what the Allies did to them with the Treaty of Versailles, the hyperinflation of the Deutschmark and so on. The German people were suffering, but they were noticing that the Jewish bankers in the other upper echelons of power that they controlled, they weren't suffering like the normal, like the regular run-of-the-mill German people were. And that created a resentment. They refused to assimilate. They didn't really classify themselves as German. And they were holding all the power, or perceived power at the time, and that created a lot of resentment. And you kind of see that starting to happen now here in the United States. And once again, they're in control of the finance and the media. So they're controlling the information pipeline, the propaganda, and they're controlling your money. And under their watch, they have allowed the economy to go to shit. Because after all, they're in control of the Fed. You know, when Biden, the currency hyperinflated by 40%. Imagine if you would sit, if your retirement age, you had a stack of money, you put it in the bank, and in 4 short years, your life savings was worth almost 50% less than what it was that it took you a lifetime to amass. Because just of a few assholes at the top of the economy fucking everything up because they want to extract as much wealth from the system for themselves. Your 401k, your pension, savings, all of it. The common American worker is suffering from these policies. And once again, they set themselves apart from their host country because they're Jewish first. It's creating a lot of resentment. It's allowing people like Nick Fuentes to come front and center, to garner a lot more attention, to listen to what he's saying and thinking like, hey, you know what? This guy's making a lot of sense, even though he's young. He's not much older than Mahmoud there. Mahmoud said he was 21. Fuentes is still in his late 20s. So he's not much older. He's a little bit younger than Fuentes. But Fuentes is coming out. And whether it's true or not, he has the rhetoric to be able to manipulate public opinion. And right now, there's a lot of noticing going on because it just takes a kernel of truth for that to snowball into action. And we're heading that direction. All right, Mamu. Yeah, AIPAC's a real problem. They need to be treated just like any other foreign actor and forced to register. Evoking the Communist Act of Mon, this is more distractions from the Epstein files. The economy is in the shitter, middle class. You're right about that, Diver. Trump should, and if you don't know what he's referred to, I put a link out there. It's the Communist Control Act of 1954. In the United States, it is illegal for members of the Communist Party to run for office. I would go a step further and keep them out of academia as well. The communists have tried to do an end around of this by calling themselves democratic socialists. We're not communists, we're democratic socialists. Well, what's the difference? There isn't one, but it's a different name, so that counts. No, not really. We're not stupid. We're not retards. No, we know what a communist is, and that's what democratic socialism is. It's communism. But instead of a hammer and sickle, they put a fist with a rose. Oh, because it softens the image, right? It's a rose. You can't be opposed to roses, can you? No, you're filthy communist fuckers, and you're about to be purged out of our system. Because your eternal revolution between the oppressor and the oppressed is never ending. You do nothing but divide society and collapse to try to reform your fucked up utopia that's never going to come about because everything about your ideology is evil and, more importantly, against human nature. It's never going to work. Yeah, I can see you, Mama. Socialism, Marxism, is an evil ideology. How many fucking times does this thing have to be tried and attempted and implemented to have it catastrophically fail for you to realize it's never going to work and to keep calling for this shit to be implemented just to force society into abject misery is an act of evil. He hasn't done anything unconstitutional. What has Trump done that's unconstitutional, Diver? Not a damn thing. In fact, the SCOTUS keeps upholding his rulings. It's the rogue district courts that are trying to get in the way. SCOTUS has been quite clear that Trump has been acting in a lawful manner. And because he has been. You may not agree with his actions, but the presidency comes with awesome power and responsibilities. And sometimes you got to crack some heads to maintain order. And in the end, that's what it's about, maintaining order. That's the entire point of the executive branch. Trump has the absolute right to call up the National Guard to go protect federal buildings in these sanctuary states and cities. And that's what he has done. That's why the National Guard's there, to protect federal assets. ICE and CBP have the absolute right and the mandate thrust upon them by Congress and codified in the law by the presidency and upheld by the Constitution and the Supreme Court to go after lawbreakers, specifically in their purview, illegal aliens, because these people did not go to the port of entries to register and petition to come into our countries. They just flat got their fat asses across the fence, plopped a squat, and said, "We're not leaving." Well, yeah, you are. You're leaving. You absolutely are. And as a matter of fact, I would go a step further, and not only would I charge these senators and House reps with sedition, I would also go after Biden. Because Biden was a dereliction of duty at what he did to our border. And not only that, he redirected federal funds to fund NGOs to facilitate these migrant caravans to come north to penetrate our border. Biden should be in Leavenworth right now for dereliction of duty, not upholding his responsibility and his oath of office by protecting our borders. And not only that, he went after states like Texas and Arizona that were trying to fill the void of the federal presence of enforcement. Arizona was trying to put up cargo containers as a barrier, and they were forcing them to take that down. They were going after Abbott in Texas for putting up barbed wire to slow the rate of people coming into our country in these poor Texas towns. It's dereliction of duty. Biden should be serving time. He should be under lock and key right now in a cell in Leavenworth, awaiting trial. I am not. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Posse Comitatus refers to our military, our federal military. He has called up the National Guard. That is their purpose. National Guard is not under Posse Comitatus. They are not the military regulars. 2, he has called these troops up to protect federal assets in these sanctuary cities and states because they are lawless areas and they are protecting federal resources. And he has the right to do that as Commander-in-Chief. 100%. You're just wrong, Diver. You should know better. There is a distinction between the National Guard and the regular military. That's why they're two different things. So sit there in your wrongness and be wrong. And realize that you're wrong. Show me the proof and you have an argument. I don't support kid fuckers. Show me some proof, not some hyperbole. You don't have any proof. You're just wishing for that to be true because you don't like the man. And I get that. But it's not the truth. And this is not my argument that I came up with, but I agree with it. If there was anything implicating Trump to doing any of these things in the Epstein files, Biden would have authorized the release of that information, because they were doing everything to keep the man from running for office again. They were trying to place him in jail with bullshit charges out of New York City. They were trying to cripple him financially with bullshit civil suits. They were raiding his home with the FBI over some bullshit archival matters, over documents he was allowed to have because he was president. And every president has since, since ever, have taken documents back with them once their administration time in office is over. They're willing to raid a man's home as a former president, and you don't think they have kid fucking charges on the guy? They wouldn't have thrown his ass in jail, because Trump being reelected is their worst case scenario, and they are feeling the ramifications of that. So if they had something concrete that would stick to the wall to put the man away to keep him from running for president again, you don't think they would have utilized that? Are you smoking dope? Come on, Diver. You got all those fancy degrees. You got the gray matter up here. Why aren't you using it? Bullshit. Bullshit. Do you think the law matters as far as that goes when you're trying to keep a political opponent out of office? Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Oh, the law says I can't do that. Fuck the law. He had the power. Power overrules all that shit. They could have leaked that information out, and they could have had him and clapped him in irons. They had nothing, because it doesn't exist. Does that mean Trump's an ethical man and he keeps it in his pants? No. Obviously not, because he fucked Stormy Daniels. But so what? He's a grown-ass adult. And as far as I'm concerned, we don't have Sharia law. So we don't have people put to death for fucking infidelity and adultery. But he's not fucking little kids. Because of what's happening. Because there probably is embarrassing things about his allies in there, or even other Democrats, because you remember Trump was a Democrat for most of his life. He didn't turn Republican until he ran for office. So he knows these people. A lot of these people are his friends. Sad that is to say, but that's what happens when you come into power. You don't hang out with common folk. You hang out with other people in power, and the air gets real rarefied to that level. There's only a few people at that stratosphere. So everyone knows everyone. And he knows the ramifications of releasing that information. It's going to burn our republic to the ground. We're going to burn in a righteous fire. That's what's going to happen. It's happening now. We're just at the birth pangs of it. That's why your side put out an ad for open sedition. It's to deflect people with something so outrageous, to get them off the Epstein files, because so much is coming out all at once. And it's damning, Diver. It's damning. Heads are going to roll. I don't side with any pedos. But you got to understand on the power dynamic of this country and how it works. You just don't get it. Our Constitution, our rule of law is lip service. We are living in a form of anarchy, anarcho-tyranny. They make the rules up as they go, and they enforce the laws as they feel, and they disregard the ones that they don't give a shit about or doesn't benefit them directly. Have you not figured that out by now? Our republic is dead. Everything right now we're witnessing is like Star Wars. Right before the Emperor is like, you know what? We're almost to the part where it's like, the facade's over. I'm dissolving the Galactic Senate. I'm the Emperor. That's just the way it is. And there ain't fuck all you can do about it. We're about there. The facade is starting to fall by the wayside. The Galactic Empire, the Emperor, is about to openly take control of everything and not give a fuck about the consequences because there's nobody there to stop him. As a matter of fact, just like in Star Wars, they'll welcome in the Emperor with thunderous applause. It's life imitating art. But that's where we're at. You still think the law actually means something. When you can have Obama creating bullshit like DACA as an executive order, he didn't go through legislation to do that. Just like, these are your illegals, but they've been here for a while. They grew up here as kids, so I'm just going to call it a deferred action bullshit plan. And I'm just going to tell my cops not to go after these people so they can just do whatever. Yeah, sure, we'll make them register so we get some names on there to decrease the amount of identity theft, but we're just not going to fuck with them. Does that sound lawful to you? Or does that sound like something a dictator can do? But it was okay because that's the dictator that you preferred over the orange man, right? You like the black man, the brown man over the orange man. So when Trump does his own decrees by executive order, it's bad. When Biden does it, it's okay. Or when he doesn't do his responsibilities by protecting our border. Right? That's okay. But by God, sending the people back home, they got to have due process. They didn't go through due process to get inside the country. They illegally came here, but we got to follow the rules to send these people back home. Right? All 20 million of them. Those are the new arrivals. That's not the ones that were already here. No, it doesn't work that way. Hey, I appreciate you, Mamoon, and thank you again for the super chat. I'm about to wrap up here anyway. It's an hour and a half, it's been long enough, and I got to get to bed myself, so. Working an early shift. Diver, you really need to do some soul searching about what you actually believe. It's not just about Orange Man bad. You need to understand where our republic's going. I know you're a smart guy. That's why I keep you around. Even though you disagree with me on a lot of things, I know that you're intelligent. You need to use that noodle of yours to realize that we're in dangerous fucking territory. And regardless of who's doing it, it just happens to be Democrats this time putting out an ad campaign advocating for open sedition. And you have another Democrat lawmaker out there yelling on Capitol Hill saying you need to pick a fucking side. Hello? This is sedition. We are in dangerous waters, sir. Regardless of who's doing this, you can't be going after the commander-in-chief like that. That's not the way any of this works. And they should be arrested and put on trial. Absolutely 100%. You know, the Epstein files just came out that Congress lady, the Democratic Congress lady, was actively on the phone during a congressional hearing, and he's feeding her questions to ask. And they're documenting it in real time. You don't think that's a problem? Oh, by the way, there was a hearing about Trump because Epstein did not like Trump because Trump is the one that originally blew the whistle on Epstein that got him arrested the first time back in the 2010s. That always seems to get glossed over. Trump is the one that narked Epstein out, that got him arrested and put in jail the first time around. That's why they had a falling out. Funny how that always seems to be left out of the conversation and the context. Use your fucking head, Diver. I know you're smarter than that. You don't have to agree with everything that I'm saying, or even the majority of it. But you have to realize how fucking dangerous that we're in right now, the situation we're in right now. It's crazy. It's crazy to have Democratic lawmakers, senators, that used to be former agents of the CIA calling, say, hey, CIA, you don't have to listen to the commander-in-chief. It's okay. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's sedition. Now, I'm not big into moral relativism, but you really need to put it on the other foot. What if that was a cabal of Republicans coming out and saying the same thing about Obama? Or Biden? Oh, you don't have to listen to what he says. It's okay. He's just, even though it's not supported by facts, like the Supreme Court and our court judicial system, but we think that what the president is doing is unlawful and we will protect you. It's okay to disobey the commander-in-chief. What do you think that's going to do to our republic? What do you think it's doing to our republic? That's why the republic is a facade. It's dead. It is officially dead. And the Democrats killed it. And that's just the unvarnished truth, Diver. You may not like what Trump is doing, but what he is doing is 100% constitutional and lawful and well within the purview of his position as the President of the United States. They are giving a lot of latitude on their powers and the direction they can take this country into. That includes labeling certain organizations as terrorist outfits, like the cartels or Antifa, and then using the full force of our military and our law enforcement to go after these organizations, to take them out. It's perfectly within the purview of the United States and the POTUS to go after illegal aliens, because they're not lawful residents, they're not lawful migrants, they're not supposed to be here. And what your idea of a due process is not correct. They'll all get a court hearing. That's not how it works. That's not what due process means, legally speaking. Look it up. So yeah, it's perfectly lawful to go in there, verify somebody's immigration status, and if they're not supposed to be here, they get deported. And because they're flight risks, they get sent to a camp somewhere so they can be processed, so they can get a flight out of the country and maybe get some of their affairs in order before they're forced to leave, especially if they have family here. That's lawful. Because if they weren't flight risks and they didn't fuck off their immigration hearing from the very beginning, as they were supposed to show up for years ago, they wouldn't have to be sent to a camp and treated as a flight risk. It's just like somebody that skips bail. Well, don't be surprised when your bail gets revoked. It is what it is. They're not supposed to be here. It's lawful to round them up and send them home. Anyway. So there you go. Our republic's burning to the ground in real time. Senators are actually calling for sedition. Trump's not fucking around. He wants them to be charged and have the book thrown at him, which up to and including execution. And I'd say it's warranted. You can't have these people advocating tearing our military apart with their bullshit, their unfounded claims. Unfounded. Every fucking time it has gone up to the Supreme Court, they have upheld what Trump has been doing. Every single time. And because you don't like the rulings, well, sucks to suck. It's being done but through the process. It's being done legally. Anyway, I'm going to bed. I appreciate you guys being here. I wish I had better tidings. Better thoughts for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, but it's just our republic is on fire, and the Democrats are throwing gasoline on it. They're trying to accelerate the destruction, and unfortunately for them, they're about to be in the find out phase, because Trump is not playing around. And heads are going to roll. And that's just the way I see it. I hope I'm wrong. I truly do. I don't think I am, though. And I don't think you think I'm wrong either. Have a good weekend. TC out.